right then. Guys, if you have not heard anything else I've said for the 5 weeks or 3 weeks now or 4 weeks now that we've been together, and if you've not paid attention to any other lesson, this is the lesson I want you to pay keen attention to. Because whether or not you are planning on becoming a social media manager, taking on clients, managing their platforms, or even if you're doing this for yourself, this particular lesson, talking about data analytics, is extremely important because I tend to find that we don't reference data enough. We don't use data to help us make very important decisions about the things that we are doing, whether it's social media and other digital platforms. And that's why for a lot of us, there's no growth, and you put in all this effort and resources and you don't get anything out of it. And I also want to talk to you guys too, and again, this is for persons who are either working as a social media manager, an assistant, or something in that position. Don't allow a client to their unreasonable expectations or their ignorance or lack of literacy about what happens on social media or how social media works put you in a position to damage your reputation. And as we go through, I'm going to explain what I mean. So guys, please, 100% of your attention as best as possible. All right, so let's get, and don't mean to scare you guys. Not a scary thing, but as somebody who has had experience doing this for a few years now, it took me a while to realize that the issue wasn't me. The issue wasn't my work. The issue was my lack of communication with my client about the expectations. And so I have had to then, with any client I'm taking on, I no longer do social media management, mind you, but I still do digital media and digital media strategy consultancy. And I now have to temper my clients. I have to let them know what they can expect over what period of time, because it is not abracadabra, it is not magic, okay? And a lot of people have that impression that, oh yeah, man, I can just go post some things and next thing you know, I'm a celebrity. My platform shot, I have hundreds of thousands of followers. It does not work like that. It rarely ever works like that. And so you have to temper expectations. So let's talk about data. Let's start with data now. Last class, or I think class before that, we talked about analytics and stuff, but now we're going to go a little bit deeper. And we're going to start with data. So let's talk about how social media platforms access data and processes data and what that means for you. So when you sign up for a social media channel, there's some information that you have to give them. And of course, it's free. And think about why it is free. They have to pay for servers, they have to pay for staff, they have to pay for planners and web developers and app developers. It's an expensive endeavor. But then, so if it is so expensive to run a platform like this, why is it free for users? Why is it free? Well, this is why. So they collect data, which is information. So anytime you hear, anywhere at all you hear persons talk about data, they're talking about information. And that's the simplest way to explain. Different types of information, sure, different levels of, in terms of the information, some can be more complicated than others, but it's still information, right? And then what these platforms do is they create systems and processes that we call algorithms. And what these algorithms do is track, process, and organize data into what we call data sets. So data sets can include location, data sets can include things like gender, etc. So data sets, groups of data, they group the data. And we call this analytics. And then from these different groups of information or data sets, they look for patterns and trends. And this is what we call insights. And what they then do to make a profit is they sell access to these insights. And it can be directly where they sell it to a company that, gathers it, because you have companies that are data mining companies, and all they do is get data, mine data, and sell back the mined data as insights to people. Social media channels do the exact same thing. Now, you guys might have heard all the hoopla in the media about whether this is right or whether this is wrong and data privacy laws. However, we freely give them this information a lot of the times. And if you read the terms and the policies, before we sign up to these platforms, we realize that we are actually giving them permission to do these things in many instances. Some of them, Facebook, tend to be a little bit extra with it. But if you notice, there's been very little successful prosecution if it indeed goes that far in terms of information, because it's a contractual arrangement that you have between yourself as a user and the social media platforms to collect and process this data. Now, how they dispose of this data or share or sell this data is a matter of law, and that's a very gray area. We're not going to go through that, but I just want you to understand how data works on these platforms, and I'm going to give you a visualization. Now, again, you are the user and you want to sign up to a social media platform. What is some of the information you will give them? Your name, your age, your location, your email, birthday, relationships. So who's your family? You ever be on one of these platforms and you get a message to say, hey, check to see if some of your family and friends are connected with family and friends that are already on the platform. Just about every platform does that. And if you say yes, what you're allowing them to do is access your data on your mobile phone or whatever the device is that you're on, usually your mobile or your tablet. And now they have access to all your contacts. That's data, vital data. Because for them to determine whether any of your contacts in your phone is on their platform, they're going to have to scan through your contacts on your mobile phone, and you're giving them permission to do that. So they ask for your relationships, and they also ask for your preference. And by preference, I mean interest. Do you like soccer? Do you like, what kind of content do you want to see? Do you want to see beauty? Do you want to see technology? Do you want to see news? So they ask you for your preferences and interests. And before you finish signing up, before you can even create a profile, they know a lot about you, because this is key information. If I have your name, age, location, and your birthday, I can unlock just about every pertinent information about you, right? But then that data is taken and it's extracted and processed, because that's the initial set of data you give them when you sign in, right? But then as you use the platform, there's additional data that they're collecting from you. And let's look at what those additional data is. So we're talking about now the analytics. So they're tracking your interactions, okay? Who are you interacting with on the platform? How are you interacting with them on the platform? What time are you on the platform? Stuff like that. They're tracking your engagement, likes, comments, shares, even DMs. Now, they say they can't read your DMs, but they know if you're DMing, right? They're tracking all of that. They're also tracking your usage, how you search on the platform or how you perform searches on the platform. When you access the platform, how long you're staying on the platform. So they can then give you information like, and this is where the insights come in, when to post, what to post, where to post. So a platform like Instagram and Facebook can tell you what is the best time to post. If most of the persons who interact with your page are male or female, it can tell you approximate age groups. In fact, it can tell you exact age groups. It can tell you, these platforms can tell you when they're on, the days they're on the most, the time that they're on, how long they're on there for, which one of your content they interact with the most. They can give you all of that information, because the entire platform is built to track, process, and organize and mine your data. It's called social media or social data mining. And it's just as similar as data mining generally, but it's not happening on social platforms. And that's why it can be free for a user, because more than likely the persons that are going to be interested in this conversation are businesses, marketers, and other company that does data mining. Right? And so you find that if you have a personal account on any one of these platforms, you don't get access to insights. You don't get access to analytics. You don't get access to any of this data. But if you have a professional account or a creator account or a business account, that then you will get access to this information, because you are going to need that information more than anybody else. But if you want access to even more information, you have to pay for it. And that's where the in-depth analytics come from that can allow you to super target in terms of advertising. And we're going to look at that. All right, guys, I'm going to pause here and see if there's anyone who has any questions. Any questions, guys, so far? You guys understand what I'm saying so far? Yes, it's information farming or data mining. It's the same thing. Can you please explain data mining? Okay. So pretty much data mining is, so depending on how the data is collected, it could be just one series of ones and O's, because it's digital data. It can be digital data, which means it's ones and O's, or it can be, data like this: name, age, location, blah, 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 blah. So what happens is there's this huge collection of information, but just having the information there doesn't mean anything to anyone. In order to get meaningful insights, knowledge, or to find patterns and trends, etc., in that data, you're going to have to analyze the data, hence the word analytics. And instead of doing manual analytics, the algorithm on the platform tracks your every move on the platform. It processes everything you do on the platform, and it organizes that information. And then it sends you that information in the form of insights. So when we later on, I'm gonna go on these different platforms and show you your insights, right? But that's really what we call data mining. It's taking this huge body of information, sifting through it to find valuable information out of that businesses and marketers and other persons who would be interested in this information would want to know. And then they sell that information to you in some way, shape, or form, or share that information with you in some way, shape, or form. I hope that helps. Yes, I'm showing up as Jackie because I'm using the Kingston Creative account. Okay, got it. All right, then any other questions, guys? Yes, you can. And we're going to talk about that later. We're not there yet, Chevelle. Any other question, guys, about what we've covered already? All right, seems you guys are fine. All right, then. All right, so let's resume sharing, guys. And let's move on to the next slide. So now, so this is what we call data-driven marketing. And in this case, data-driven digital marketing, but it's the same thing that they would normally do in regular marketing. But now, because everything is online, you can get some very detailed insights. You can tell how many people in 1 square mile, how many households in 1 square mile did this thing, when they did it, the time they did it, how they paid for it. All of you can get some very, very minutiae details, right? And so data-driven marketing especially the digital space, has kind of revolutionized the world of marketing, because now more than any other time, marketers have access to very detailed, very precise insights that they can use to target and retarget persons and it drives up conversion rates, right? So it is a strategy using customer information for optimal and targeted media buying, and media buying is advertising, right? And creative messaging, again is those type of ads. Remember, we were talking about the creatives last week. We're saying it's a format of the ad, it's the messaging of the ad, it's how the ad looks, what the ad says, blah blah blah, right? So that's what they're talking about, because really the point of buying data is so you can properly target persons, or better target people, right? And it is one of the most transformational changes in digital advertising that has ever occurred. That should be ever occurred, right? And this is according to Make Thunder. And it's because it is such it is such a unbelievable kind of thing that you can have so much information. But first of all, nobody has more information than Google. Nobody has more information than Google, because we are so plugged into and sometimes voluntarily, like myself, who voluntarily plugs into the Google ecosystem. And sometimes it's involuntary because we're not reading the policies and the terms before we sign up for things, or suppose create profiles and things, right? But what does this data, coming back to this, what does this data-driven marketing allow us to do? Well, it allows us to personalize messaging, because remember, we were talking about outbound marketing, where it's just one mass message that you're sending out, and the persons who get it. You know, if you're on TikTok, the girls who get it, the girls who don't. It's that kind of thing. So you are just sending it out to everybody, and if they heard it, great. If they see it, great. If it resonates with them, great. But you had no guarantee, or you had limited guarantee that would be successful, right? But with more data, with more information, with better targeting, you can then create multiple messages for your different audience segments, right? And so you can talk to them on a more personalized level. And what this does is it makes sales less salesy. It comes off as less of a salesman type of pitch, and more as a personal pitch to you directly. You know, like, I'm talking to you, I understand your problem, I get you, we're friends, we're right here. It comes off as that, but it's really still sales, right? It also, so now that you can personalize your messaging, you can then send that messaging out. You can then buy, do targeted media buying. That's what that is. And target different sets of people, different segments of your audience with different messaging through ads, right? And that makes for more effective targeting, which can lead to higher conversion. So these are just some of the main benefits of data-driven marketing that is driven through insights that you can get from some of these platforms. So that's what we mean by data. That's kind of how social media data works, right? But let's look at analytics. And I like this quote. This quote says, without actionable data and clear metrics, the marketing organization is being paid to what? Guess. And I've long said that I think one of the biggest problems we have with marketing in Jamaica is that there's a lot of guesswork that's happening. Now, not to say that there's data, but data isn't widely shared. That's one. We tend to keep information in silos. So data isn't widely shared. The data tends to be old, and the data tends to come from elsewhere, right? So marketing companies in Jamaica, I'm not seeing where they're gathering data necessarily, and because of that, a lot of the work that goes into this is kind of guesswork. And so if you don't have the data, and from that data, you're getting the insights, and from those insights, you can make informed decisions. And then from those informed decisions, you can then measure your performance and your progress, then you're guessing. And I don't want you guys to go online and guess, because if you guess and miss, problemo. Okay? Problems. All right. So let's look at social media analytics. So when we're talking about social media data, we just went through data, and we talk about the analytics. We're talking about the information on your audience or on our audience that is found or shared on social media channels. And this information is primarily used to inform a business, their approach to marketing, and the actions that they need to take to support that approach, and ultimately to determine their performance. Okay? So that's what we mean by social media analytics. And what does it help you to do? Make accurate decisions faster, optimizes your efforts, and it identifies strengths and weaknesses in your strategy, right? And so, say for instance, you are, and I asked you guys this in your assignment, what is the point of going on social media? Why are you going on social media, right? And I keep hearing you guys tell me, oh, awareness, but it's just very vague term. There's no specific, there's no, you guys are not specific enough. And this is a problem, because if I'm a client and I come to you and I say, okay, I want to, create social media profiles, I'm expecting you to get from me why I want to go on social media, because that's something your client must be able to tell you, right? And I will go through that, I will go into that later on, right? But as a social media manager, you're supposed to be able to guide the client in such a way where you understand what the business goals are for the client, yeah, and how marketing can help them, but specifically how digital marketing, even more specifically how social media marketing can help them reach that goal. Now, help them reach the goal, not get them to the goal, because social media is one small platform, right? And this is why you guys need to not be afraid to ask the client questions, right? And not be afraid to let them know that, listen, you is not Harry Potter. You cannot tap your magic wand and make this thing work for them. They have to have a business plan. They have to have a marketing plan. And in that marketing plan, they have to have a digital plan. And then from that, you can glean in useful information that you can then take to create a strategy, because you cannot create a strategy out of thin air, no matter how brilliant you are. Okay? All right, guys, I'm going to pause here again, because in fact, I'm going to stop sharing because I want to actually take you to some websites and show you some stuff. Can you disable the chat, please? Why would I disable the chat? Why is somebody else logged in with my name? I don't know, Cheval, if you shared a link in your group and tell them to use that link, then that happens sometimes. All right, guys. So nothing about what I just said, you guys are talking about links. Just got kicked out. I don't know why, because there's still 100 people on. All right, guys, let's move on. Let's move on. Anything, guys, about what I just said just now? You guys are good? Talk to me. Any questions about what I just said just now, guys? Okay, Jonathan has his hand up. All right, go ahead, Jonathan. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Okay, you said something very profoundly a while ago, and I never knew that, which basically I'm normally the type of person who try to help people who are not able to get the job done properly or knows exactly what their business models are.
Sorry,
Now,
Jonathan.
yours,
Jonathan,
Yes, ma'am.
Could you just start over, please? I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. All right. So basically, what I'm saying is that you pointed out something that was very critical to me just now, which is to try to have your clients identify what their business models are before you can actually tap into their business. Now, that's something that I had an issue with a couple of years ago, where I was trying to assist, but then the person was not able to give me an identity of what their company was all about because there's no proper structure. Now, you're saying to me, and I would like you to re-emphasize that a little deeper if it's possible, where it's concerned, because where is the limit as marketing managers or social media marketers that we're able to assist, because I'm pretty sure there are persons out there like myself who likes to go the extra mile and try to get our clients in on the game.
So you want me to do what, sorry, Jonathan? Jonathan? Jonathan gone? Jonathan, come again. But you
Yes,
want,
I'm on mute now. Yes, I
yeah.
was muted. Okay, thank you. Right, so I'm asking you, could you dive in a little deeper, explain a little more in terms of what our limits in that area, please?
When you say limits, what you mean? Okay. What if your client does not know what exactly they want social media to attain for their business? Are there specific questions that, yes. So more than likely your client will not know. More than likely your client will not know. So now this is why we have what we call discovery calls. Because in those discovery calls, you're going to ask them information. And guys, I was going to get upset at you until I realized that I might not have done something. But I'm going to check if I did, and if I did it, then I'm going to cuss you guys out. I'm going to cuss. I have to check if I did it first before I cuss. Did I do it? Did I? I'm looking for. I did not do it. So guys, I was supposed to share a document with you guys, but it's not there, not there. All right, let me bring it up and I'll show you guys. But I was gonna gift you guys something. Somebody said, "Look at God." I did not. I did obey. All right. Gonna get with this time. All right, guys. Let me show you a document that I usually give to my students, and it's called the digital readiness guide. And this is what I had to start doing with my clients. I had to start using my digital readiness guide. Let me find it on my system. Nope, I'm not seeing it here. So while my system is looking for the document, I think it is in my drive. I don't see. Oh, here. No. I guess I didn't even download it back. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, it's in my Canva. Oh dear. It's a good thing I'm sharing to you. All right, guys, let me share about my screen with you guys. All right, guys, hold on. This is it, guys. So this is the questionnaire part of the guide. And let me show you the guide first, and then I'll go through the questionnaire part of it. Because guys, and this is why guys, here's a pro tip for you guys. You see, if you're going to be a social media manager, digital media manager, digital marketing manager, any kind of marketing person in the digital field, or even if you're not in the digital space, create your own processes and systems to onboard clients. It will save you headache and it will save your reputation. Believe me. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Now, when I just started, remember, I'm self-taught. I don't have a marketing degree, my big bossy degree, law degree. Yeah, no marketing degree whatsoever. But then I quickly realized that you don't necessarily need a marketing degree in digital. What you need is to do a lot of research, a lot of reading, and it's going to take a lot of trial and errors and observation. You have to be plugged in, right? And so after a while, I started getting, more and more clients. And I started realizing that one, there's a literacy problem in Jamaica, a digital literacy problem, let me be clear. And the problem is you have a lot of businesses that don't know what they're doing online. They don't know what is happening online. They don't know what the purpose of these platforms are. They just see other people doing it and go, well, everybody there on social media, so let me go do it. That's one set. Then you have the other set, they're highly skeptical of the digital space. Highly skeptical, oh, pick the thing and, no, don't take it seriously. And I get different varieties of these two things coming to me. And so I realized quickly that one, I'm going to have to educate. I'm going to have to do some literacy work while I'm working with the client. That's one. And two, I'm going to have to start tempering expectations. And so I created a guide and I called it the readiness guide. And at first it was just a series of questions. And then over time, I started adding stuff to it. So what you should know about digital platform, what is digital branding, social media platforms, choosing right platforms, choosing right type of content. Now, this is a very short guide. It is not meant to be detailed. And basically, I just go over some basic stuff. So give you some basic ideas and I send these to potential clients. In fact, anybody can download it from my platform. But the most important part of this is a questionnaire, guys, because you have to understand the system that we're working with. A lot of it is informal. A lot of the system is informal. So even business and business processes tend to be informal. So you have persons who are going online and because they feel that their business is online, they don't have to register their business. They don't have to register their companies. They don't have to have a business plan, which is a huge mistake because then it creates headache for me and you, right? When they're trying to market this business. And so we have a lot of informal processes and stuff going on. So when a client approaches you and you say, okay, can I have a copy of your business plan or of your marketing plan? None. They don't have none. They have nothing. It's in them head, them have an idea in them head. And now you have to then work with them to pull that information out of their heads. Yeah. And so I asked the question, do you have a website? If you have a website, which platform is it on? Which hosting service does your site use? Is your website secured? Are you already online? I'm talking about social media. Where are your channels? Do you already have a brand strategy? What is included in your brand strategy? What is your brand objectives for going online? So you have to then say to them, okay, is it awareness? This is what awareness means. Is it lead generation? This is what lead generation means. So you literally have to educate them while you're trying to get the information from them. What are your expectations for going online? What metrics would you use to measure the success? Now, I'm not expecting them to tell me clicks or stuff because they probably don't understand what that means. But I want them to tell me in their own words how they would measure success. What business outcome would be helped? No, I am walking them through these things. I'm explaining to them the different things as we go along. And if you notice, there are some notes, cliff notes on the end. Does your business collect data? If yes, how does your business collect the data? How is that data stored? Because that's a whole other headache. Yeah? Whole other headache. How is that data used? Of course, half the time that section is blank. What does your customer base look like? How do they interact with your brand? And then brand differentiation. What is your brand expertise? What is your brand's competitive advantage? Do you have the internet expertise to commit to the process? Because a lot of them, they don't have a marketing team. Sometimes it's just them, or they have very few staff and the staff is not very knowledgeable. And this is not just small business, this is big business. You have big businesses who don't have a digital marketer on their big excitement marketing team. Because when you study marketing in Jamaica, they don't teach you a lot about digital marketing. So you have marketers coming into the space with no experience or foundational knowledge of digital marketing. Have you committed a budget towards implementation and management? So these are just some of the preliminary questions I asked, and then based on their I was doing this with a client recently for a marketing strategy. And let me tell you some of the questions that I asked her, because this is just preliminary now, you know. This gives me an idea of what I'm working with, right? So I asked questions like, if you already have, so say you already have an Instagram, how would you rate your performance on Instagram on a scale of 1 to 10, and explain what scale of 1 to 10 mean? And then I'll ask them, okay, what do you think some of your issues are? So they say something like, you know, they don't post regularly. That's a posting schedule issue. That's inconsistency. Inconsistency means there's a frequency issue. Frequency issue means not enough communication with their community. Not enough communication with their community means that their community may not be seeing their posts because they're not consistent. You understand? So you can ascertain a lot based on what they're saying. And of course, you can look with your own eye and go to their social media platforms. And in all my strategy proposals, I have what I call a cursory or preliminary assessment of their platforms. So because I don't have access to the back end of their platform. So what I will do is I will go on their websites. There are some tools that you can use to run websites, and it can tell you information like traffic and so, but very limited. With social media, you can go and you can see how many followers they have, and you can do the whole engagement rate equation. So, you know, it's the followers and then the number of engagement, but over 100. And then you do that and you can get whether or not they have good engagement rate or not so good engagement rate. And then you can start diagnosing what may be the problem. A lot of the times it's the quality of the content that's the problem. A lot of times it's a consistency issue. A lot of the times it's that they're not posting the right thing. And the biggest thing is that they're not on the right platforms. They go on Instagram because people up on Instagram, they don't know who their target audience is. They don't know what they're trying to say. They've not formulated a cohesive message in their minds, which makes it difficult for them to communicate a message to a specific audience, because you ask them who their audience is and them say everybody. And some of you guys did that in your assignment. Everybody is not a defined group. Okay? And so it's sometimes they come to you and they say, man, they want it done immediately. Immediately for them can mean 2 months, because you have to spend the time to go through and get all the information you are going to need to be able to devise a strategy that makes sense. And each strategy is going to look different, okay? And that is what I would advise anybody to do. Create your own processes and systems for getting information. And guys, let me show you something. Quick. This is not rocket science. You don't have to have a lot of experience. Simple. What questions should I ask a social media client? Here are social media questions to ask your clients to learn about the psychographics of their customers. How would you describe their culture? Where do they shop? How much do they spend? You can find this online, guys. You can find it online. What question should I ask a new social media client? What is your purpose on social media? What is your brand's objective? And sisters, I have some of those same questions. What do you hope to achieve using social media? What's the biggest barrier to your success? And let me tell you something, guys. You see, if you're with a client who either A, refuses to answer the question, B, cannot answer the question and doesn't want to give you enough information that you can use to answer the question, or is very sketchy with information, or, you know, they get frustrated with the process and they don't want to participate, walk away. Say, I appreciate your time. Unfortunately, I don't think you are ready for my help. And walk away. I've done it. I don't think you are ready. because there's no way you can be coming to me to ask me for help, because the reason you're coming to me is because I have the expertise. So when I'm trying to get you, using my expertise to try to get you to somewhere where you need to be in order for me to then help you, you're catching an attitude, or anybody got time for that? Come back when you're ready. Walk away. Because it is not just about losing money. What's worse is losing reputation. And when you're new, you're just starting to build a reputation, you don't want $100,000 to ruin that reputation. Believe me. Especially because you're going to find a lot of clients in Jamaica who don't want to pay you what you want. And this is our next thing, John. This is another tip. If you're a social media manager, you're a social media manager. You're not a graphic designer. You're not a content producer. You're a social media manager. Means you manage the platform. Yeah? Yeah. So if the client wants additional things like graphic works and content production and all that great stuff, is that them go hire a team, or you already have your own team that you work with, which is what I would suggest, that you build your own team and charge them accordingly. If they don't want to pay for it, thank you, you are not ready for my service. Guys, sometimes people will not be ready for you to work your magic to help them. And it's okay, walk away. Yeah? Don't be afraid to walk away. What template, Zuri? I'm not sure what template. Yeah, man, guys, I'm going to send you the digital readiness guide. But this is just one, guys, I have a questionnaire for just about everything. I have a questionnaire if you want a website, because I build websites. I have a questionnaire for that. I have a questionnaire if you want a digital strategy. I have a questionnaire if you want a social media plan. I have a questionnaire if you want a consultancy. I have questions. And one of my questionnaires can have up to 30 questions, because you will not embarrass me and ruin my reputation. Okay? Danisha, I don't know if you've been following what's going on in the groups. I'm sure you have. There's been a technical difficulty that we're trying to sort out. Happy you got on. Let's continue. All right, guys. Let's now look at, I'm going to now take it to, so Jonathan, I hope that would have, cleared some stuff up for you guys. My website questionnaire is online. I can send you a sample of it, or you guys can just make your own questionnaires. It's not hard, okay? All right, guys, let's look at where to find analytics. All right, I'll send you the readiness guide, guys. It's a tool. It started out as a tool for me, and then it turned out to be a lead magnet for me, and it's something I usually share with my students. All right, guys. Let me share my screen again so you guys can see. All right, so guys, let's look at where we can find social media analytics, okay? So this is Facebook. This is your Facebook page, yeah? If you look over on your, I want to say left, I am geographically challenged. I'm going to say left-hand side, you will see Business Suite. If you click on Business Suite, it's going to take you to, now Facebook change up them something every single day. So this is the current iteration of it. Let's hope it stays this way for a while, okay? The minute you start figure out how to use the site, then change something. So this is the Business Suite home. And what it does is it kind of gives me an overview of what is happening on my different platforms. So if you guys have connected your Instagram account to your Facebook account, which is really the only way you can run ads on Instagram, all the information for both platforms will be here in the Business Suite. So you go and you click Insights here, and this is where you can get your insights for both of your platforms, right? So now you can see Instagram reach, Facebook reach, paid reach. I've not run any ads, and I've hardly been on any of these platforms for the last 2.5 months. you know, and some personal issues. And so I've not really been on the platforms for a while. So everything is down, you know. But this is kind of a results, like an overview page, but then you can get more details. So let's look at some of the details that you get. You get details on audience, and this says aggregated demographic data used on a number of factors, including age, gender information users provide in their Facebook profile. So they tell you, this is where they get information from. So you can say age and gender, 18 to 24. So I know I can tell from this. So my audience on Facebook is between the ages of 24 to 44 years old. That's my biggest audience segment. Well, my first one is 25, 34, second is 35 to 44, and the third is 45 to 54. And if you look now over on Instagram, it's 25, 34, 35 to 44. So I kind of have identical audiences on Instagram and Facebook, which is not unusual, right? But then it gives me information about content, you know, reach, likes and reactions, comments, shares, right? And then cost per results and link clicks and stuff. But cost per results is if I run an ad, right? It gives me, I just look at audience, right? But if you should go, and oh, look, it tells me where they are: Kingston and Jamaica, Portmore, Montego Bay, Spanish Town, Mandeville, New York, London, Maypen, Oches. I don't know how they got New York and London in the middle of, all right? But then on Instagram, it differs because on Instagram, it stops at really New York, but it looks like on Facebook, and I think really where it says London is diaspora. Yeah. But on both, my biggest base is Portmore, Kingston, and Montego Bay. Top countries: Jamaica, United States, Canada, United Kingdom, Trinidad and Tobago. So you get all this information. Oh no, so they give you current audience and they give you potential audience, right? If I create an ad, they're saying that my estimated audience size is between 1.5 and 1.8 million people, and this is how they've apportioned that. They even give me internet service provider, and this says the Facebook page is liked by this potential audience. And you see how much detail they can give me. So what they're telling me is, but in this 1.5 to 1.8 million dollar, 8 million persons, these are the pages that they like: Flow, Shelly and Fraser, Digital, Usain Bolt, Jamaica Greener, NCB, Andrew Owners, Jamaica Star, Chin Music, Miss Kitty. Now, if I then go on these pages and look at the type of content these people are posting, it can give me an idea about what the interest of my audience is, what they're likely to be looking at online, where they're likely to be online, and the kind of messaging that I need to create for my platform. So yes, I may not even run an ad yet. Yeah. So, but guys, you know, when you go on Instagram, you can get more detailed information from Instagram. If you go into your analytics and you go into insights, it kind of break the information down a little bit more for you. So you get additional information in your Instagram thing. You get more of a per post kind of thing. So if I should go in here and go into my insights, I can get information like, well, accounts reach, accounts engaged, what else? Yeah, accounts engaged. And when I click on accounts engaged, again, it's the same thing: top cities, followers, but it also gives me non-followers, okay? So accounts engaged, how many of them were my followers, how many of them were non-followers? Content interactions, story, you get story interactions when you go on Instagram. Of course, Reels is in there now. Now, guys, if we had access to stuff like Instagram Shop or Facebook Shop, you'll see more analytics in here, but we don't have access to stuff like that just yet. All right, guys, so that's Facebook. Now let's go to Twitter. when you go to Twitter, and guys, as I said, it's easier if you just do this on the browser. You go to more and you click on analytics. And this is, again, everything is down because I've not really been online. And they give you 28 days summary. With Facebook, you can get almost real time, 7 days, 14 days, 28 days. With Twitter, you can get, I think, 7 days and 28 days. It's not as real time as Facebook, right? So now, top tweet, top mention, how many tweets I've posted, tweet impressions, profile visit, mentions, new followers. Again, all of this is up here. Profile visits, it's down. It's 571 visits in 28 days, and that's down. To go to show you that I usually get a lot of visits to my profile. And it gives me all that information. But then if I click on a tweet and I view tweet activity, it gives me a further breakdown of total engagement, likes, profile clicks, replies, likes, right? And so this is where you'll find your analytics for Twitter. And again, this is just like a general thing, but of course, with each tweet, you can view tweet activity. You can view all tweet activity here, so, and it gives you a further breakdown. So over the last 28 days, I've had 3.7 thousand impressions. My engagement rate is 1.3%, which is actually not bad. Okay, link clicks, retweets without comments, likes, replies. Of course, it gives me a breakdown of my best tweets, and top tweets, tweets and replies promoted. Of course, there's nothing because I'm not promoted. So you can get 7 days, 7 days and 28 days, right? On Twitter. So that's your Twitter analytics. Now, LinkedIn is a little bit different because if you don't have paid LinkedIn, you don't get a lot of analytics, but this is what you do get. So if you go on LinkedIn and you go on your profile, you'll see something that says your dashboard. And your dashboard, this is kind of like your general page analytics. So if you click on, it'll show you, so it's limited because you don't have the thing, but interesting views, word view, you don't get a lot of analytics. It just gives you the numbers. It don't go into a lot of things because you don't have the paid version. So you only get numbers really if you have the free version of LinkedIn. But you can go into your activity and you can go into your posts and you can then, click on reactions and stuff, and you can get information here on engagement on each of your posts, etc. And that's really all you're going to get with a free LinkedIn account, unfortunately. All right, guys, let me pause here and see if there are any questions. All right. Is that a good thing when the audience is identical across all platforms? These are the measures you use to develop a social media. Okay, I don't. Okay. All right, let me start with the first one. Is that a good thing when the audience is identical across all platforms? It can be good, and it's not a bad, it's not a good thing. But not because your audience is identical in terms of age and so means that their interests are the same. So I can have, so you can understand that people use social media for different reasons, right? And so I'm on Facebook mostly because I have a lot of family and actual friends on Facebook. And so when I'm on Facebook, I'm usually talking to family and friends. I'll probably browse different things, but I'm not necessarily in work mode on Facebook. Instagram is really the base for Digital Jamaica. That's our first platform. That's our biggest platform. So we spend a lot more time engaging our community on. We have a community on Instagram. So I use Instagram to really engage community, etc. Twitter is really where I engage professionals. The professional part of my community is really on Twitter. So all the tech entrepreneurs and all those people, they're on Twitter, and that's where I engage them. LinkedIn, I'm yet to figure out what I'm doing on LinkedIn. I'm going to tell you the honest truth. But LinkedIn, to be I'm exaggerating, guys, but on LinkedIn is where I've been able to source people. And by source people, mean I'm always looking for people to interview, to talk to find, to do workshops and other things. I go to LinkedIn when I want to find professionals to either collaborate with or network with. So LinkedIn is really a networking platform for me. So I understand that different audiences, even though they're the same age group, probably from the same location, they're like me, they're also using the platforms for different things. So I might want to tweak my message on Twitter, and I'm probably posting the same thing, but with a different perspective or with a different messaging or just wording it differently. So it's more relevant to the audience, even though it's probably the same, even the same group of people. But the messaging is different and you're getting a different tone or a different perspective on the same kind of thing. And I space that out over my different platforms. So you still have to know how they're using the individual platforms, even if they're lookalike audience, okay? These are the measures you use to develop a social media monthly report. Yes, so in your social media monthly report, because remember, you're setting KPIs, which we're going to talk about actually right now. And you're setting targets and KPIs and metrics and stuff. And so in your social media monthly report, you're going to have to give the client an update as to, okay, are you hitting those targets? What's happening on the platforms? That kind of thing. Mostly what people want to know is if they've gained more followers, which is useless information, but we're going to talk about that too. All right, guys, let's resume and let's move on. So what are some of the most important metrics that you need to be considering, the metrics that are going to guide your progress on these platforms or measure your progress on these platforms? Now, several variables when you're trying to determine what is the best metrics or the most important metrics to track on your social media channels. Business goals, social media marketing objective, platform functionality, and audience. And these for me are the four big ones. Guys, notice I keep reiterating business goals, business goals, business goals, because guys, it is important for you to know what your client is trying to do. What business are they in? What are they trying to do with this business? What are the goals that they have for this business? So you can then have it in your head, because guys, remember, when you're going on social media, you're creating content for these platforms, or you're helping them or guiding them in the creation of content for these platforms. How are you going to know what to communicate to people on these platforms if you don't know what this business is trying to do, or who they're trying to do it for, what time frame they're trying to do it in? You have to find out that information. A lot of them are not going to want to give you their business plan, but you need to get that information from them, and you need to let them know that without you knowing what's going on with their business, you cannot help them. Or you would think it makes sense, but sometimes you have to explain it to them multiple times for them to kind of get it. Because a lot of them don't make the connection between the actual business and the goal of the business and social media. And it sounds odd, but it's true. The other thing is, now that you understand what the business goals are, have an idea of what the business goals are, you're going to have to set objectives for your social media marketing, right? And so you're going to have to come up with, okay, so this is what you want to achieve in the first quarter of the year, okay? This is how I'm going to set up, or this is the plan that I think will help you get to that goal, or help you get to that goal within a certain time. So these are the objectives. And when we go and talk about KPI, I'm going to explain what I mean by that. And in your assignments, I'd ask you guys to do this too. Set a business goal. I'd ask you for one main or primary business goal. And then you were supposed to give me supporting social media objectives that will help you get to that goal. And I'll give you an example. If you say within the first quarter of 2022, I want to see sales increase by 20%. General sales. As a social media marketing manager, you might say, okay, well, we'll probably or it's you have to find out, okay, what are the products that they sell? So they sell, say it's a beauty company, they sell face soap, they sell body wash, and they sell acne lotion, right? So these three products. One product is for $5.99, one for $6.99, one for $10.99. How many of these products are they gonna have to sell? Because even when I say they want to see a 20% increase in sales, you need to find out what figure is that. What's the actual number? So say 20% increase in sales would be $20 million or $2 million or $200,000. Yeah, $200,000. How many of these products are they gonna have to sell to get to the $200,000? And then they can give you information like which one of these three products are the most popular. So if they say the acne body wash is the most popular one, you can say, all right, let's run a campaign on the acne body wash, right? Because it's already a bestseller, right? So again, you're thinking about customer retention. You want to go back to customers and say, hey guys, you bought this already, remember you can buy that again. That's one audience. You want to introduce it to new audience to say, hey guys, look at all these people who have used this and gotten amazing results. You guys need to buy this too. So bringing more awareness. And guys, awareness is not a one-time thing. Awareness is a constant thing. That is why Gucci is on social media. That's why Prada and Chanel, they're on social media, because awareness is a never-ending thing, right? And so you're constantly bringing awareness back to that product, and you're going to be creating different types of content. You're going to do social proofing. Remember, Talika said last class that social proofing is something that we don't pay enough attention to. So you're going to talk about how other people have used your products and how it has worked for them, and doctor says and scientist says, and you're going to do all that, put all that information out there to try to generate more sales on this product. Then you're going to look at what are the two other products that they have, that they're trying to sell. So if you guys say, well, guys, listen, these three products are part of a system, and if you use these three products, you get better results, that could be a second campaign that you're creating, because not only do you want to sell acne body wash, you also want to sell these other two things. So you market this as a part of a system. Like Neutrogena does this. Neutrogena have them face wash, them toner, them scrub, blah, 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 and they tell you it's a system. And then on the bottle, it's a step 1, step 2, step 3, because they're marketing it as a system, right? Is it a system? You can use one without the other. People have used one without the other just fine, but they want to sell more of the products, right? And so, guys, you are taking this one goal of a 20% increase, which is $200,000, and you're saying, okay, I think within the first quarter, we need to run 4 or 5 ads. 2 of them part of a campaign. Yeah, we're gonna get a beauty influencer coming to do some reviews and testing on the products, right? We are gonna do a giveaways. We're gonna do cheat sheets. We're gonna do how-tos and tutorials on how to use the products, and then how to apply makeup on top of that, blah, blah, blah. Because it's beauty. You have room to expand into other spaces. You can again, like what Neutrogena do, talk about the healthy skin is the foundation of whatever, and then putting your makeup on top of that, put makeup on top of unhealthy skin, blah, blah, blah. You have room to expand, right, and bring them right back around to that. Because what is the real problem that these people have? The real problem that they probably have is acne issues or some skin related issues, and no matter how much makeup they put on, if they have that skin related issue underneath, it's going to come out. And of course, they're still going to be uncomfortable. So understanding the problem, not just the one problem, but the 360 of that problem, right? And being able to address that problem in a fulsome way for the client could probably get you more sales. Hence a campaign, right? Enter social media campaign. We are talking about everything that is involved with that. How acne makes you feel. It's an emotional thing as well as it's a physical thing, right? And you can talk about stress and rest and drinking water and exercising and how that can help. You have room. So guys, this is how you kind of set your social media objectives, right? So how do you know what metrics can you look at? And I'm going to throw this question out to you guys now. What metrics would you use to measure some of these objectives? So say so one of your objectives then is you're doing a giveaway, and a part of the giveaway is the 50%, you're giving away a system to, let's not say 50, say 10 persons, you're giving away. What would be the objective of you giving away those systems? You want people to try it. So you're saying, okay, listen, I'm going to give away these systems and we want your feedback, send your feedback in, and then you create a campaign out of this feedback. What are some of the metrics you guys think we could use to track if this particular objective is successful? You're giving away some systems to persons, a part of a giveaway to promote your brand, awareness, visibility, all that kind of stuff. What are some of the metrics you think we could use to track these things? Anybody? Am I still on? You guys are quiet in the chat. Shares. Okay, so if you say, for instance, that guys, you know, they always say, tag a friend and tag 3 more friends and then tag 10 more friends and then underneath the first. Yes, so if that's the situation, then yes, you can use that to measure how many new followers do you have, which means that people are actually, you know, tagging friends and their friends are actually following. How many people enter the contest, views, clicks, thank you, clicks. How many persons actually clicked on the link that will take them to the page for them to enter the competition? That's one. How many people went on the page to enter the competition? How many people completed the application form for the competition? If the competition is on social media, how many people commented with and tagged their friends in it and then said the magic secret password? Or how many people DM'd you saying the things that you asked them to say? How many people follow the desired action? That's one metric you can use. And it's easy to say how many people follow the desired action based on what you would have instructed them to do, right? So that's one metric you can use to test to see if you're, you know, getting towards your objective. And of course, the ultimate metric is how many people completed the application process for the competition. How many people did, and how many people actually got the product. So if the competition was for 10 people and you got the 10 people, you would have met those objectives, right? But then you're also looking at what are the feedback that you're getting, because remember now part of it is that they were supposed to send you feedback. So what is the feedback that you're getting? Are they sending you the feedback? And then you take this feedback and you turn that into probably a campaign that you're using, right? So guys, there's several objectives that you can track. Some people say share, yeah, are people sharing the competition? That's one way. Views, yeah, but guys, when we talk about vanity metrics, we're going to talk about why shares and views and likes by themselves are not useful. They're not useful metrics because they're not what we call actionable metrics. But guys, yes, so you set your social media marketing objectives based on the business goal. Then you look at the platform's functionality. So you want to run this campaign. What's the best platform to run this campaign on? It might be on Instagram, it might be Facebook. That's something for you to decide based on how you want this campaign to go, right? And then of course, you're gonna always, with everything at the center of the decision you're making is your audience. What will your audience respond to? And what your audience responds to is based on how you have conditioned them. A big part of it is conditioning. If you've never run a competition before, you hardly communicate with them. Are you going to get the response that you want to get from them though? If you're not communicating, if you're not engaging, if you're inconsistent, are you gonna get the kind of reaction or the kind of desired, get them to take the desired action. So you're gonna have to look at your audience, and even when you're deciding what kind of campaign will work, you're gonna have to take into account your audience. Is it something that they're gonna believe? Is it something that they're gonna gravitate to? Is it something that they're gonna be interested in? You're gonna have to ask all those questions. Retaining these new followers, that's another issue too, because if it was just for competition, then they're going to unfollow you afterwards. So there's no guarantee about retaining any kind of follower, which is why follower metrics is what we call vanity metrics, and it is not useful by itself. And we're going to go into that actually. So let's move on. So now we're going to look at, still looking at the most important metrics. And generally, for me anyways, there are three main categories of metrics that are considered more important than others in determining performance, right? And it's awareness metrics. So awareness metrics can be anything like follows, views, etc., right? Then we have engagement metrics, likes and shares and saves, right? And then we have conversion metrics like link clicks, like signing up for your newsletter, your lead magnets, or signing up for your email, or actual purchasing of an item, etc., etc. So together, these three categories together, the metrics in these three categories can paint a really good picture for you as to how your brand is performing online. Read together, taken into account together, okay? They can give you a pretty good idea of how your brand is performing online. However, when we're talking about vanity metrics, we're also talking about awareness metrics and engagement metrics, because by themselves, they don't really tell you anything, right? They make you look good. So of course, it looks really good to see you have 500,000 followers on Instagram, right? And you have 1.5 million views on your videos, and you have hundreds of thousands of comments. It tells you absolutely nothing whether or not the person actually bought a product from you, or whether or not that person is a part of your email or a part of your funnel. It actually doesn't tell you nothing. It doesn't give you any useful information or substantial information by themselves that will help you fully understand the performance in a way that adequately informs future strategies. All it tells you is that you're popular. Popularity don't equal sales, and Talika said that. It does not equal sales, okay? And of course, we all want sales. That's the ultimate end goal for any business on social media. So when we're talking about vanity metrics, again, we're talking about awareness metrics like follows, like views. We're talking about engagement metrics like likes, comments, and shares, right? So by themselves, 5 million people can view a video and nobody buy the product, or nobody engage with you further and just viewing anything and click liking. And you have people who they just swipe and they'll see something and they click like, and there's no stopping to actually hear the message, to actually read the caption, to actually leave a comment. They just swipe up and click like. And as I said to you guys, sometimes people can accidentally follow you. Or in a situation like what we were just saying before, it's a competition, they come across the competition, they follow you because that's one of the rules of the competition. And then nothing happens, which is why I don't really necessarily like these competitions on social media, because there's no guarantee that you're going to retain followership. So if it's a competition where they actually have to go to like your main platform, your website, and complete a form, or it could be a quick form, and give you their email, something that you can then use to contact them again, that makes more sense, because now you have their information. And this is what we call a qualified lead, because now they voluntarily gave you their information, which means there's interest there, and there are ways that you can then contact them and stay in touch and communicate with them afterwards. So now you've qualified the lead, right? And qualified leads are better than having a ton of followers. You know what I mean? And so you have to take them together. And why is this important? Because as a social media manager, one of your biggest jobs is to you have to tell a client what you're going to be doing for them on social media is going to actually help them grow in some way, shape, or form. And this is what we call key performance indicators or KPIs that must be included in some proposal or plan that you're giving to them, because then how else are they going to measure if what you're doing is successful, right? And pretty much that's what your KPIs are. It's a quantifiable measure of performance over time for specific objectives. Is another reason why you need to be setting objectives for social media, right? But what do we mean by that, or what is included? It's talking about setting targets, which is the desired level of performance. So if you say, for instance, within the first quarter, we want to increase impressions by a certain amount, we want to extend our reach by a certain amount, we want a certain amount of traffic to our website, we want a certain amount of newsletter signups, that kind of thing, right? So you have to set the level of performance. It cannot be a wishy-washy fluid kind of thing, because then you need to give the client something, and I hesitate to say the word concrete, but the client needs to know what they should be looking for to ascertain whether or not you've been performing, right? And of course, tracking the progress against that target. How are you going to track your progress against the target that you would have set, or that you and the client would have set, right? So for instance, again, you want monthly website traffic, number of qualified. So these are some KPIs now. Monthly website traffic is a KPI, is a target. Number of qualified leads, call to action conversion rate. And guys, we talked about CTAs before, and this is what we call, when we talk about them taking a desired action, that would be the call to action. What was that action that you wanted them to take? And did they take that desired action, and then did it convert? Because if they took that desired action, that's a part of conversion. And then if they then went on and then took the ultimate action, then you'd have considered that cycle closed, because they've taken that ultimate action. So conversion rate, right? But guys, I see often that we tend to confuse KPIs and metrics. They are different, right? KPIs are outcomes. They're the goals that you're setting. While metrics are only data points, right? And together they determine whether that goal has been met. So KPI is the goal, and the metrics is really how you're measuring performance of that goal. So I hope you guys understand. KPI is the outcome that you're seeking. It's the goal that you want to meet. You measure that goal with metrics. The metrics literally mean measurement. It's the measurements. So you're going to have to determine what measurements you're going to use to determine whether or not that goal has been met or is being met, to track progress, right? Now, what does this have to do with ROI? And I'll tell you, when we're talking about ROI generally, we're talking about return on investment. And this is why it is important to set KPIs and then to set metrics, determine the metrics that you're going to use to monitor, track the progress of that KPI, which I said was the outcome or the goal, right? And then once you can do that, you can then tell a client if there is a return on their investment or not. A client can determine that. And when we talk about return on investment, what we're talking about is, it's a measurement, it's another measurement, a performance measurement, and you use it to evaluate the efficiency or profitability of an investment. When we're talking about, and calculating ROI, it's the benefit or return of an investment divided by the cost of the investment. In social media terms, what we're looking at is the return on investment from the activities that you're doing on social media, and that's in relation to the expense, so the time, the money, the resources, the effort that you're putting in to carry out those activities, right? So now, how do you know, or how, and this is what is in your report, but based on your report, your client can know if there's a return on investment. And once it's not a zero return, then once it's not zero, then there is a successful return on investment. And what do I mean? Say, for instance, how much you will charge a client for social media management. If we were charging them properly, it would be anywhere between $90,000 to $180,000, depending on the amount of work you are doing on their platforms. That's an investment that they're making. They're also making an investment in terms of, are they going to be doing content production? Is there going to be a graphic designer? What are some of the other things that are involved in the management of this platform and in the creation of content and stuff for this platform, right? That's investment. Now, if you are able to go on and you are able to help them increase that sales through social media, help them increase their digital presence on social media by a certain amount, help them get the reach and the traffic and the impressions and stuff that they want, that is a return on the investment, right? But if nothing happens, if you're putting out all this effort on social media and nothing happens in terms of actually reaching the objectives that you set with your KPIs, no return on investment. Okay, guys? So that's why that's how all of this comes together. So you're setting relevant KPIs, you're determining the metrics to track the progress of the KPIs, and then you can tell the client whether or not there's a return on the investment, right? So identify metrics to track objectives, calculate costs to manage social media, and determine the value achieved. This is how you determine whether or not there is ROI here, right? So it's important that you guys create the outcomes. You and your client come together. Well, the client needs to know what the goals are. You create these objectives. You determine or identify the metrics to track the objectives, and then you're calculating the cost to manage your social media and determining what the value is that you have achieved after doing all these things. All right, guys. So I know there's going to be a ton of questions, and so I'm going to go to the questions now. Guys, can you use the raise hand feature? Use raise hand. If you guys have any questions, Christine, I don't know what you mean per what. Can you go back to the KPI slide? Okay, let me go back to the KPI slide. This slide, right? So what I said was KPIs, it includes, let me go back to the first one. It's a measurement that determines performance, or it measures performance. And it's over a period of time for specific objectives. So it's for specific objectives, no, not just one objective, but each objective has to have a KPI. Each objective has to have a KPI and metrics that you're going to use to measure the success of this, if you've been able to successfully carry out this objective or achieve this objective, right? And so that means you're going to have to set targets and then track the progress against that target, which is where the metrics come in. And so this is where I gave you some examples of KPIs. So these are like, and this is marketing KPIs, because you have different types of KPIs. So this is marketing KPIs. So monthly website traffic, number of qualified leads, CTA conversion rate. And I'll give you an example of how this can be used. Say, for instance, you're putting on a webinar or some kind of event, right? You put that out on social media, right? You can track how many persons from social media actually goes from social media to to the landing page for the event. Because the link is going to be in your bio. You're going to tell them, guys, click the link in my bio. That's a CTA, right? So if they click the link in my bio, that's a part of the CTA conversion rate, right? And then they're going to the landing page, which is traffic to the website, yeah? And then they're registering for the webinar, and that's qualifying the leads, right? And so that is how you look at it. So the main objective or the main goal was to get people to sign up for this webinar. And this is kind of how you would set the KPIs for that particular goal. Okay, so traffic to website, CTA conversion, number of qualified leads, right? And so if, say for instance, you give people a month to sign up and register, then you can determine if you've seen increased traffic over that month, if there's been an increase in the CTA conversion rate, and how many persons have actually signed up for this particular webinar. This is what we call the qualified leads. So I'm hoping this helps, guys. Okay, understood. Okay. Is there a single metric or KPI? Okay, guys, metric and KPI are different things. The KPI is the outcome or the goal, the objective. So there's the business goal, and then from the business goal, you're setting KPIs for what you, KPIs, social media KPIs, right? And then from those KPIs, you're going to determine what are the best metrics to help you track the progress. Track your progress on that particular objective. So guys, metric is not the same as KPI. Metric is how you measure KPI, key performance indicators, okay? So how can you determine if you may need to rebrand or change your marketing strategy? That depends. Are you going into a different area of the market? Are you not gaining enough market share in that particular segment? Do you think that you're missing the mark in terms of your audience? What is the audience saying? What kind of feedback are you getting? A lot of variables going to determine whether or not you need to rebrand, but your marketing strategy is always changing. It is never static. So it should be changing naturally. Your marketing strategy is not static. It's not a set it and forget it. Every couple of weeks, probably every quarter, I would suggest you go back in and you tweak your strategy based on the outcomes that you would have had in the first quarter, based on the metrics that you'd have been using to track those outcomes. You can then determine whether or not it is working, which area is working in, which area it is not working in, and then you can make a decision. And it's not a one-size-fits-all either. So KPIs, yes, so KPIs, so there's the business goal or the outcome that the business wants. Then you set your social media KPIs, because remember I said there are different types of KPIs. So there are marketing KPIs, but we're talking about social media. So you're talking about your social media KPIs. What are the objectives? And it's the same thing as your social media marketing objectives. It's the same thing, right? What are the objectives of using this platform? What are the objectives that you're going to be set around the use and the activities on this platform? And then how are you going to track that, right? So yes, metric is a measurement that you're going to use to determine if you're achieving your objectives on social media. Yes, per month, Christine. Not seeing any slide. You guys weren't seeing the slide? Okay. Hold on. Let me bring up back the slide. So this was a slide, guys. If just think person said they weren't seeing the slide. So this is a slide, guys. All right. And of course, you'll see it in the replay. Any questions, guys? Please use the raise hand feature. What about a profile page where you're not selling anything? Olivia, you want to jump on? I don't know what you're asking. Guys, I just went through a lot, and I don't expect you guys to get it right off the bat, If you have questions, please ask. So let me go over some of the important things I said. Some of the important things I said was there are three main categories that I would use in terms of determining important metrics, right? You keep saying for like a profile page, but you didn't give me any context as to what you're talking about, so I don't know what I'm answering. You said, what about a profile page where you're not selling anything? I don't know what you're referring to. What does that mean? What are you talking about? So guys, I said that the three major categories that I would look at is the awareness, conversion, and engagement, but together, not separately. But looking at it together can paint a picture. And if we should go back to, let me share my screen again. If we should go back to the insights on Facebook, guys. If you should go back to the insights on Facebook, what is this insight on Facebook telling me when it comes to audience, right? It's telling me, it's giving me a lot of information here. If I go to content, it's giving me information about reach, likes and reaction, comments, shares. That's just one part of it. I know how many followers I have. That's just another part of it. How many people clicked through my website? How many people went to my other platforms? How many people signed up for my newsletter? How many people viewed my videos? How many people sent me DMs or reacted to my stories? Together, it paints a fuller picture. But just to go on somebody's platform and say, oh, they have 50,000 followers, and so, doesn't mean nothing. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't tell me anything substantive about the performance or the growth or the success of the platform. Because follower count alone don't tell me. Video views, it could be video views because it was something salacious or something that generated a whole lot of excitement for not good reasons. And it just maybe a one-off thing or a fluke, right? And I'll give you an example. You have a lot of people who their content goes viral and they get a whole flood of people coming to their page, right? But if you look at their other content, it doesn't get that same level of views. It doesn't even get a significant amount of views or something because persons are only interested in that one piece of content. And then after that, they don't care. So you have people who they do all these gimmicky stuff to get people to come to their profiles and follow their profiles and then do the follow and unfollow foolishness, the gimmicky stuff, but it's not sustainable. And so it looks pretty, but it doesn't mean anything by itself. There are no analytics. Oh, that's what Olivia is talking about. But I did say that earlier that if you have a personal profile, you don't get analytics. Only if you have a business, professional, or creator profile. If that's what you were talking about, Olivia, thanks for clearing that up, Christine. Guys, any questions at all about KPIs and metrics and ROI? Anything at all? What tactics can you use to get buying customers instead of a large following with no engagement? Wow. Okay. So that again depends. When you're talking about buying customers, you don't know who is your buying customer, who is not your buying customer, right? And so you can only know that if you set certain KPIs, set certain metrics, and then follow the metrics to see if you're converting, right? And so, for instance, if again you want to sell something and you're selling it to, you're targeting a particular group, you can run ads, you can run campaigns, but in order to turn followers into community members, into buying customers, it's not just that you're going to be posting some things, but can you actually get them to take certain actions? That's really how you're going to determine if they're buying customers. And remember too that your community is going to also be made up of current clients, potential clients, and just people who pass. That's also true, right? And so it's also a space where you nurture the current clients that you have so you can retain those current clients. So social media is not just for potential clients, but it's also somewhere that you nurture existing clients, right? And so tactics you can use to get buying customers, you can run ads on certain things, you can do giveaways, you can get them from social media to somewhere where you can nurture the lead. So in your email is a good place to get them to, and you can do nurture sequences where you're sending out different kinds of emails and stuff to get them more interested and to get them to a point where they're ready to buy. If you're using your analytics to create the right kind of content, that's one way of getting them to buy as well. The truth is, guys, is about the messaging and making sure that your messaging is relevant and positioning. And I always tell people there are two major things that you're doing when you're going online, and or two major things that you need to achieve with your digital presence, and that's visibility and relevance. And somebody may come across your profile, but they're not yet ready to buy, and that's okay. You continue to nurture and nurture and nurture, and then when they're ready to buy, you're already in their head, you're top of mind for that particular thing, and so they're going to come to you. So it's not a situation where you're going to go on and immediately you're going to see sales. Sometimes it takes a while for you to build that relationship with them, for them to become a part of your community, or to build up some level of trust. And sometimes it's just a matter of, oh, we never know about this. Click, sale. And that is why we say that you don't make it difficult for persons to engage with you. Don't make it difficult for persons to find information about you. Don't make it difficult. And if you ever hear me say it, and I'm going to say it again, put your prices in your captions, because ain't nobody going to DM you for prices. You're going to lose a lot of customers by doing that, because you're putting in additional steps that is unnecessary to get the client to come to you. All right. And even Talika said it, even if you don't want to put the exact price, you can give a price range, or give them additional information that will help them make the decision. And that's what your social media platform is there for, to build awareness, which is part of the visibility, right? And to position yourself in such a way where when they think about a particular product, or so they think about you, and that's the relevance part of it, right? So reiterate on ROIs. ROIs means a return on investment, and to determine whether or not you're successful on social media, what you're trying to determine is whether all the efforts, money that you're putting into your social media activities has been worth it for the client. And how they know that it's going to be worth it is based on the value that is being achieved from the work that you're doing on social media. So you're setting your KPIs, you're measuring to see if all of that is going to equal to achieving value for existing customers, potential customers, your audience, and for your clients. Okay. And so once it's not zero, once the return on investment is not zero, then there's a return on investment. So that's what ROIs are. So it's how a client will determine, or how you can determine whether or not the investment that they're making in these platforms are successful or not successful. And there's no one thing to say this is how you measure ROI right across the board, because different clients have different goals and different objectives. So it's very specific to a client what a return on investment would look like for them. That's a conversation you need to have with them. Mikhail. Go ahead, Mikhail.
Hi, Katia.
Mr. Mikhail, let me tell you something. I appreciate how you wring every single thing out of this course, as you should. And I appreciate it, because I can safely say out of all the people who have in the class, you've asked the most questions. So congratulations. Go ahead.
Right. So I was going to ask you, if you're in a position where you're volunteering social media services, right?
If you're in a
Um,
what?
if you're volunteering social media services to a client, how?
Volunteering, Mikhail?
No. I'm just asking, like a presuppose, because sometimes you like to give trials and so on. So if you're giving a trial or you're not being paid yet, no, it's so away. It's so away.
Hold on. I mean, who volunteers these things?
I mean, that
What
person
kind of free trial are you talking about?
like a 1 week trial of your services so you can give them a quick audit and
No, ma'am. No,
no.
ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
That's
No, ma'am. We're not trialing nothing. No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
okay.
You think you can walk into Burger King and tell them they want to trial them hamburger to see if it tastes good before you buy it?
Yes, I'm back. No,
Listen.
definitely not.
No, ma'am. Take that out of your head. We rebuke that spirit in 2022. No.
Okay, all right.
No.
So the rest of the question would be though, in
Do
terms
not
of
volunteer and sample service because there's nothing you can achieve for a client in 1 week. Absolutely nothing.
okay.
There's nothing you can achieve for that client in 1 week, except you can probably make them profile look prettier, which says nothing about anything.
All right,
Guys, this is not something that happens quickly. It is something that happens over a long period of time. Social media, you have to give it time to work, to test your strategy, to retweak your strategy, to test your metrics, to retweak, to come back again. It is not 1 week. What are you going to tell a client in 1 week, say?
Just saying. It was an example.
No, don't say that. That hurt my feelings.
Okay. All right. Well, I was actually going to ask you in terms of the ROI. I mean, it's kind of,
There's no ROI you can determine in a week, Mikhail. And that's why I don't even like the whole monthly reports thing because what am I going to tell you? Okay, so you had 200 additional people. What that really said to you, it doesn't really say anything to you. And sometimes you give the strategy, you have to give the strategy. I'm allergic to free, exactly. You have to give the strategy room to you have to implement and you have to give it time and test it to see if it actually works. Guys, it is not a panacea. It is not magic.
That kind of transforms the general idea that I had about social media in a sense, because some persons in the field and in the sphere make it look as if, once you have a specific recipe, it can work with every client and it can work within.
There's no recipe. What you have to, know what your capabilities are. You know what you're capable of. You have a track record that you're building over time with clients. You know what part of this thing you are really, really good at. And the parts that I'm not really good at, and I can admit I'm not good at sales, I bring in people who are good at sales and I work with them as part of my team. And so together we can accomplish something for a client. But a client cannot tell, first of all, I don't work with you if it's less than 6 months because that just doesn't make any sense. My contract minimum is 6 months. Because it takes a while. First of all, it's going to take me a while to create the strategy. I'm going to have to test the strategy. And the only way I can test the strategy is actually by doing it. Right? And then I'm going to have to tweak and come again because a lot of time you find that the information that the client gives is probably not even accurate or not fully accurate or not fully so until you can get in and look at the analytics and the metrics for yourself and realize that what they tell you wasn't never it. So you're going to have to go retweak your strategy because you are working off one thing from a client that is not fully digital illiterate or not fully knowledgeable about the platform or about social media. And that's the information that you have to work with. And then when you go in, because now you have access to the platform, you realize that, okay, so the problem is you're not talking to anybody. Your messaging is horrible. And that's when you realize, and now you have to kind of redo probably a whole entire section of your strategy. It happens.
Okay. All right, gotcha.
It is not about followers at all. Followers are nice, don't get me wrong, but by itself, doesn't do anything or doesn't tell you anything. I'm going to give you an example. There's a particular diva, curvy diva, who has millions of followers. I think 1 point something million followers.
Yeah.
Engagement is okay.
Right.
But there's a difference between quantity of engagement and quality of engagement. This curvy diva cannot get anybody to buy anything. It's going to be very, very dependent on what that thing is that this curvy diva is selling. Because the majority of people following this person actually doesn't like the person. What they like is the gossip and the salaciousness and the thirst trapness of the platform, because the platform, the approach, the strategy is what we call thirst trapping, right? And so people will sign up for the thirst trapping because they want to see it. Yeah, people who sign up because they want to see it so they can criticize it because it makes them feel better about themselves. It makes them feel like they're better than this person. And if you should go and look at the comment section, you have a lot of people trying to embarrass this person. Oh, you're a mother. Oh, you have children. You're disgracing your child. That's most of the comments. The rest of the comments are thirsty men who want to poke something with something. The other set of people is spam comments. Click here and get 10% off, or hey, go check this spam comments. And the rest of the people are actually fans.
Right.
So guys, there's a difference between quality of engagement and quantity of engagement. And that's very different. Now, don't get me wrong. This particular diva very much understands her audience. Very much understands her audience. And with certain brands, she has been successful. Usually brands that go after the thirst trap accounts. Fashion Nova, lingerie brands, alcohol brands, or drink brands works. But what I would be interested to see is if she can actually convert. And I'm not sure how high her conversion rates are. Because again, quality engagement is different from quantity of engagement. All right, guys? So just to put that into perspective for you guys in terms of what you're dealing with. You have people who follow you on social media just to be absolutely disgusting. They have no interest in anything you have to say. They just want to either argue with you because they think they know more than you. You have people who will come on your page and try to debate you on your own area of expertise, and they don't have none themselves. You have those kind of people. You have people who spam you. If you notice, when you use certain kind of hashtag or certain words, you get a lot of spam comments. Social media is a battlefield. It can be a mess over there. And as a social media manager, there's a lot you're going to have to fight through, go through, and you're going to have to be on it. And if you're not on it, you can, your page you can get into problem with your page, where you have a ton of spam comments and spam accounts, people trying to do things to your page, and it can be crazy over there, which is why you have to set the expectations for these clients. Do not offer any free trial. You are not Microsoft Office. You are not Photoshop or what's one of them, security software for your computer will offer you a free trial. You don't offer people free trial. It doesn't work that way. There's not a lot you can do within that short amount of time. Shani, go ahead. I mean, you can do freebies. Freebies are like lead magnet stuff. Sure, you can do all of that. But if they come to you, they came to you because they know you have an expertise You don't need to be doing all that excitement. Go ahead, Shani.
All right. Hi, Kadia.
Hi.
I noticed when I post on my Instagram business page using certain hashtags, I usually get several comments, DM on, promote it on. So I'm
Spam,
wondering,
those are spam comments.
right. So I'm wondering if it's really because of the hashtag why
It's the
I'm
hashtag. You have people who spam certain hashtags, and
oh,
certain they use bots. And what happens is whenever you use that hashtag, the bots pick it up and then it sends you certain automated messages. So
oh,
it's spam, and guys, don't leave the messages there, delete them. I see people
oh,
leave the messages there because they make you look at them have a lot of messages. Delete them. Because when the platforms are going through and they're doing their sweep, they're not going to say, oh, well, she never know, because you harbor these messages on your platforms and your platforms can get into trouble. It has happened before. Delete them, block them. If these spam accounts follow you, you know they're spam accounts because sometimes you see like just 3 or 4 pictures of just money or some weird pictures that don't make any sense.
right.
Block those accounts. Do not allow them to follow you because you want your follow account to be high. Block them because it may come across as if you are a part of this foolishness and your account can get into trouble for it.
Because what I
Don't
was
harbor
doing,
them.
yes, Katie, what I was doing is trying to block them, but because sometimes it's so much, I was wondering if I should just stop using those hashtags totally.
No, if you go into your and Kishli just said it, and I'm glad you said it because you're reminding me. You can actually tweak your settings. It's not going to get rid of them completely, but you can tweak your settings in IG to kind of limit. The problem is you can't just limit bots. It can probably put limits on other potential, people who want to follow you and stuff as well. But that's the price you pay for a free platform,
Okay.
right?
All right. Thanks, Katie.
Mhm. Any other questions, guys? Yes, Desan, people have gotten into trouble for harboring these people or for harboring these accounts. Always block and report, block and report. Any questions, guys? Any other questions? How often should you review insights every day? Every day? To determine how quickly you can tell your client that their marketing strategies need tweaking weekly, monthly. You're not telling your client that your marketing strategies need tweaking. You need to be tweaking the strategies as you go along. What you need to tell your client from the beginning is that, listen, this is the master plan, and this plan is subject to tweaks on a monthly basis. I'm going to be tweaking this plan based on the results that I'm getting in from the data, based on the data that I'm getting in and the results or the insight that I'm getting from that data. That's what you need to tell them, but you actually need to be checking your insights every single day. Don't just take your insights when you have to do a report for your client, because then how else are you going to know if your strategy is working, especially if you're running ads and campaigns? How often should you review? And it's not the reviewing of the insights that will help you to determine how quickly. It's what were the measurements, what was the KPI, what was the metrics, and what is your analytics telling you? And is it adding up to getting to your objective, or is it saying that actually this is not happening, this is not working out for you? And then you tweak. Tweaking can happen on a weekly basis, on a daily basis. You might decide that, okay, you wanted to post something, but then when you went and you look back at your analytics, you realize that probably this is not the best time to post that, depending on what is happening in the space. Something major may come up that you guys can capitalize on for the client. So you're going to have to tweak your content plan for that week, which means that your objective may need to change slightly, or your metrics may need to change slightly. Guys, nothing is concrete or guaranteed in this space. There's no one strategy that works for everybody. So no, I don't have an example of a strategy that works for me all the time for every client. What I do know is what works for Digital Jamaica And I know what works for Digital Jamaica because I'm constant. I created a platform and I've been working on that platform for 4 years now. And I've had to change the strategy. Sometimes completely abandon and redo a strategy. Sometimes I've tweaked. And what I've landed on that has worked for Digital Jamaica is organic growth. I think organic growth works best for Digital Jamaica. And that is how I've been able to kind of sustain the platform through organic means. I don't run a lot of ads. I work through community marketing. Community marketing works for Digital Jamaica. That's what I mean by organic growth. For other clients I've had, there's one client I had that was a professional body for persons in the IT and ICT space. What worked for them was educational, positioning them as an authority in that space, and by a lot of storytelling about other people that are also in that space, how they have grown in that space, creating opportunities for continuous learning, stuff like that. That worked for them. So it was a matter of repositioning them in that space because there was a fallout because they weren't being consistent. Different management, different people who have different levels of emphasis on social media. Because of that, it was inconsistent, right? But repositioning them worked, and then creating different types of content around education and around talking about what this professional body has been able to achieve for its members, etc. That worked for them. There was another group, there's another client where what actually worked for them was centering people, and that is something that I personally use for Digital Jamaica as well, which is to center people. And in fact, guys, let me tell you about Mark. Let me tell you one strategy that works, and this is like foundation. So you build on top of the strategy. Always center the people you're trying to reach and not yourself. You will have clients tell you, well, I don't like that. Well, that's too bad. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for your audience. So if a client says, well, they don't like how that look, or they don't like, it is not for your eyes. It is for your audience. Okay? And so one thing that I will say is within your strategy, try to find a way to center your target audience. Make them the central feature of every single thing you do. It works all the time. It works every single time. Center the people you're trying to reach. And what do I mean by center them? Center them in your messaging. Put them out, push them out front, talk about them all the time. Encourage them, big them up. Share them with your followers and stuff. It works every single time. Every time. All right, I saw some more hands up. Who else had hands up? There are 2 raised hands. Who were those persons? Oh yeah, I have a lot of testimonials, but what I was addressing is strategy that works. Different strategy work for different clients, and I customize a strategy. But the one thing that I would say is a signature for me, and if you've been following me, if I see people coming all the time, I say, hey, I see something. Did you have anything to do with that? Because there's a particular formula that I've kind of created, and I use it for all my clients, but I'm building. It's one formula, but depending on the client, the formula may look different, if that makes any sense. See if I can better explain it. It's a strategy that I use for every client, and then I build on top of that. I build customizations on top of that strategy. That's it. And yeah, it's just that thing about centralizing the people that you're trying to reach, centralizing them, building relationships, building networks. That always works. Always works. You're not talking to your client, you're talking to their audience. And you have to sometimes, that's another thing that you have to keep reminding your client. I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to your audience, and you may not like it, but your audience will like it. Do you want sales or do you want to feel good? Make up your mind. Sometimes you have to give them that tough talk. There were some persons, Mark, tell me if that makes any sense to you. That was kind of a ramble. There are two persons who have raised hands. Who else have raised hands? There are lots of experimenting you guys have to do too, like for instance with tone. How you talk to the audience is different. For some platforms, you can get away with more casual type of language. With other platforms, it's very formal type of language. With some platforms, you have that space that you can maneuver in between. What kind of words? Rashida, you have noise in your background.
All right, it's not gonna work. Let me
Yes. Okay, Rashida, no problem. So guys, I said depends a lot, but it really is a lot of depends. My strong suit when it comes to digital is really content. Content is my strong suit, and that's where I tend to shine in my strategy. So I bring in other people to help me when I'm talking about strategy, to talk about sales funnel. Sales funnel is not my strong suit. And it's okay, guys. You don't need to know every single thing about every single thing, right? You can create a team to help you kind of put that strategy and execute the strategy. Can you please break down Twitter impressions for me? I'm confused how they actually calculate that number. Well, impressions, guys, remember that I said impressions is the amount of times, the amount of places your tweets were seen at. And that's kind of how they calculate impressions. So let's go back to, let me share my screen. Somebody else has their hand up? Rashida, your hand? Okay, hold on. No, it's not just a glance kind of thing. Hold on. Let me go back to Twitter. So Twitter, your tweet earned 3.7 impressions over a certain. So let's look at what we mean by where your thing was seen, Rashida. You made a tweet. People who follow you will see that tweet. That's one place your tweet was seen. Somebody reshared your tweet. Their followers are now seeing it. That's another place your tweet was seen. If your tweet was shared to some group or community space, that's another place that your tweet was seen. It also takes into account the amount of times it was seen. So again, based on how many people are sharing it and resharing it and quoting the tweet, and it moves around, those numbers add up. It has nothing to do, but that is a part of the engagement. So you'll find that impressions are different from likes, etc., etc., etc. Okay, Kimo, we finish in 5 minutes. Okay. So it's not engagement. So when we're talking about reach and impressions, we're talking about awareness metrics. That's what we're talking about. When we're talking about likes and shares, we're talking about engagement metrics. Okay? So it's about how far your content has gone, how many people have seen it, that's the reach, how many times it has been seen, that's the impressions. Okay? Nothing to do with whether or not it was engagement. Although I think it does give you an idea of engagement too, because how many persons seeing it increases the chances of it being engaged with. How many times it was seen can also increase the chance of engagement, which is why alongside reach and impression, you see stuff like likes, shares, retweets, engagement. So it's like they're breaking it down, but together it's the amount of times it was seen. Okay, if that makes sense, tell me if that makes sense, Rashida. Rashida, does that make sense? Do you understand? Okay, I'm not seeing anything from Rashida. Hope that makes sense, Rashida. Any other questions, guys? We have 3 minutes. Oh my God, I have to be pulling you guys to ask questions. Guys, this is a very important part of this, so ask questions. You know how many times I'm emphasizing that this is important? What if you can't make your own content? I don't understand. Elaborate on the types of metrics again. Oh Lord, Latoya. When you say elaborate on types of metrics, be specific, because there's a whole bunch of different metrics. What I said today was that there's 3 main categories that I look at: awareness metrics, reach, impressions, sometimes views, conversion metrics, like for instance, clicks, traffic, bounce rate, sign-ups, stuff like that, and engagement metrics, likes, comments, shares, views again can come under engagement metrics, right? Reactions, stuff like that. And so, but you have, if you should go further and you realize that there's a lot more different types of metrics, but those are usually the main ones, okay? And together, looking at that metric together can give you a good idea of how you're performing on social media. Together, engagement metrics and awareness metrics by themselves don't really tell you anything. In term, Mark, you want to raise your hand and tell me what you're talking about? Because I don't think I understand what you're talking about. What if you can't make your own content for a client, or what are we talking about here? Not everybody can create content. I just said that my strong suit is content development. Your strong suit, guys, as a social media manager, content is not a part of what you do in terms of creating the content. What you do is you plan content, and then you go over to the content production team or the graphic designer or the video editor, and you let them know what kind of content you want them to create, and then you post. Now, if you have the ability to create the content, that's a different thing altogether. But social media managers are not content creators. Examples of conversion metrics: traffic to website clicks, sign-ups. So for instance, on newsletters or downloads, it depends. What is the CTA? What is the call to action? What is the desired action? Did they take that desired action? That's a conversion metric. Social media managers are not necessarily content creators. Go ahead, Mark.
Hello? Are you hearing me clearly?
I'm hearing you clearly. Yes.
Right. So I asked the question that way because I realized a lot of social media jobs require that you create the content, and I
and
find
blood
that
sacrifice.
right, exactly. And I don't think it's practical to assume that, okay, I am good at Photoshop or Canva or whatever. I'm here to manage your social
And
media.
it's because they don't understand what a social media manager does. Exactly. A social media manager is responsible for the proper running and the growth of the platform. That's the responsibility, and included in that is reputation management, customer service. All of these things are included, but not exclusive to a social media manager. When I say customer service, I don't mean you're the ones that are answering the questions. I mean making it a platform where customers can come to find information. That's what I mean. And so it is not correct to assume or to demand that your social media manager is also knowledgeable about video editing and graphic design and all these other things. These are separate jobs. Right. In Jamaica, they try to mush them together, and then they pay you for the cheapest one of the jobs that they're trying to give you to do. So you have 5 roles in one job, and they pay you for the cheapest one. That's what happens, and that's why we're kind of in a little bind, and that's why you have what if people claiming to be social media manager and go on the absolute rubbish on these websites because they can't manage, and it's a ton of work. Just being a social media manager alone and creating strategies and creating content plans is hard. Imagine
Indeed.
now having to go create content on top of that and design and graphics and something. No.
Thank you.
Yes, it's cheapness. So anybody you see doing that is not somebody you want to be working for, because clearly they don't understand what a clock is striking a junction. And people take these jobs and then they don't perform because, imagine so just think about it this way. These companies have entire marketing teams without 20 people on the team. Graphic designer, video editor, editorial people, copywriter, all these people on the team. But is you want to go manage social media? That can't make any sense. That cannot make any sense. When they have an entire marketing team and you one must manage social media. It's even worse when they want a digital media marketing officer who will do everything, including social media. Do you know how difficult that is? First of all, email marketing is a job by itself. Website marketing, what that includes SEO, is a job by itself. SEO is a job by itself. Social media marketing is a job by itself. Social media content production is a job by itself. App marketing is a job by itself. Mobile marketing is a job by itself. These are 6 different professions. None of them don't include graphic design. So graphic design is a job by itself. A digital, somebody who does content production is not necessarily a strategist. They don't do strategy. They create content. They take instructions. The client said this is what the content is supposed to be, and that is what them create. They're not strategists. And this is why you get people doing foolishness online, because they're not strategists and they're expected to create a strategy. And if they made strategies, just create some content that look nice. Meaningless, absolutely meaningless. Different jobs, guys, completely different jobs. Now, if you are brilliant, and you are knowledgeable in all these areas, you can demand more money. Because I taught myself website design, I taught myself graphic design. No, I don't use Photoshop. Photoshop is the devil. Taught myself video editing and audio editing, and so I'm able to provide more for my client. But I'm very, very specific in which client I offer these services to, because you have some people that just don't understand themselves, and I would like to stay out of jail. I use Wondershare Filmora, and on my phone, I use InShot. Wondershare Filmora, let me show you Wondershare Filmora quick, guys. This is Wondershare Filmora. This is Wondershare Filmora. Right now, I have the free version. And it's because I bought it before. Hold on a second, guys. I bought the version before, and when I was switching over my computer, for some reason, they're not giving me access to it again, telling me that I need a new key, which is foolish because I already have the full version, and I'm, I war with them, and they said that I'm not paying for it again. But it's a really good platform. So guys, you can see that this is where I edit the classes for social media. And let me show you, this is one of my people and products segment that I did with Rick and Dale. It's on Digital Jamaica. You can go watch it. And so these are the different elements. And so guys, it looks complicated, but it's not. And pretty much if you're using like Adobe Premiere Pro or something, it's a similar setup, but for some reason they decide they want to complicate it. Don't you know why? So this is a simpler interface. and it's kind of pretty straightforward. This is a video here, so that's the audio there, and this is music that I've added to it. These are just texts and transitions and stuff that I've added to the thing. Again, these are more, so this is this that you're seeing here, so is this. This is text that you're seeing on that you will see on the screen. So if I put it here, this is the background, that's the text. So it's just transition, text, music, and stuff that I've added on. So this is what I use to edit videos on my desktop. For audio, I use Audacity, which is this program here. It's free, or you can use GarageBand, that's also free, but I just found that Audacity was easier to work with. You can record directly in Audacity, or you can edit. Let me see if I can open any recent files and kind of show you. Okay, this is the last podcast episode that I did. And so again, guys, it's just different pieces of audio put together in strategic places. For my intro, outro, yeah, multiple different pieces of audio that I kind of combined. Some of it was recorded directly in the app. Some of it was imported in the app for my intro music, interludes, blah, 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 blah. So that's Audacity. What else do I have on here that I create content with? And of course, guys, I would have shown you my Canva already. So that's pretty much some of the tools that I use to create content. But guys, I don't create content for everybody. I can tell you that. I don't create content for everybody because it's not a service that I offer publicly. Oh, InShot. Let me show you InShot, guys. So I can't share my phone screen. I don't know what I just did. But I can show you InShot. I want to show you what the app looks like. This is what the app looks like. So guys, going to your Android store. I know it's on Android. I don't know if it's on iOS. This is what it looks like. This is what the logo for InShot looks like. This is the most recent one. That's what it looks like. And you can do collages. You can edit. I only use it to edit videos. Okay, so that's what I use on my phone. Guys, most of the content I create is on my phone, to be quite honest with you. I've gotten pretty used to creating content on my phone. So far, you think you need a different software? Yeah, there's no one software where you're gonna edit audio, edit video, edit photo, edit different software for different things. So guys, you have to create your own. So I said create your own process. And by creating your process, part of the process is the tools you're gonna need to do what you need to do. Well, you can edit audio in Filmora. You can edit and download audio in Filmora, but honestly, if you want quality, use an audio editor. You have other things that can do other things, but if that's not the primary function of it, then of course the quality not going to be the same. So yeah, I would say find different tools to do the different things that you need to do and create your own system.